I'm at that stage of having a cold where my face hurts from blowing my nose. Great. Hello, I'm ill. The cat is doing a thing. This is my November haul video. So I've mainly bought non-fiction this month, apparently. So, you know, it's non-fiction November, so I think in my head not only have I been reading non-fiction, but I've been buying non-fiction. But if I do it that way, at the rate I read non-fiction, which other than non-fiction November is not a lot, I'll never read all the non-fiction books that I buy every November before I die. Is that... Huh. So the first one is number 6 in the Penguin Modern Poets series. This one's Claudia Rankine, Denise Riley, and Maggie Nelson, the Queen. Tagline for this one is die deeper into life. Then I picked up another collection of poetry that I've had my eye on for a little while now, mainly because of the cover. What are you doing, cat? And that is Patricia Lockwood's Motherland, Fatherland, Homosexuals. So yeah, look at that cover. Absolutely gorgeous, very, very intrigued, so yes. Then another collection of poetry, again, I've been toying with for a little while, but decided to get it. I should say I ended up doing a little poetry binge because I was moving the poetry section at work. Perils. But this new one is Depression and Other Magic Tricks by Sabrina Benaim, and I've heard a little bit about this one, and yeah, was just really drawn in by the cover, and yeah, just quite intrigued by this one. Then I picked up a copy of a book that I had seen talked about on a few channels, and I knew that it was coming out, and it's by a writer that I've never read any of her work, and that is Audre Lorde, and this is Your Silence Will Not Protect You. So this is a new book collecting all of her speeches, poetry, and essays in one volume, and you've got a preface by Reniado Lodge, who wrote Why I'm No Longer Talking to People About Race, white people about race, I should say. So yeah, it's somebody that I've always meant to read and feel, you know, very silly for having not read before, so I'm going to be reading bits of this as I live my life. Then it will come to no surprise to any of you that I picked up my copy of Ali Smith's Winter. I managed to get a signed copy, which we had some come into work, so I have got signed. Had to be done. And it will be, I think, probably the first book I read of December, because alter Ali Smith I worship at. Then I picked up a copy of a book which is entirely the fault of What Page You On podcast, new podcast by Bethany Rutter and Alice Slater, where they talk about books, and it's brilliant. And they were talking about ghost stories, and I tend not to read sort of many ghost stories, but this particular book I'd seen a lot of talk about on Twitter when it came out. I'd seen it come to the bookshop, and I'd nearly bought it like 3 times, and after hearing them talk about it, I was like, well, this is going to happen, isn't it? And that is The Upstairs Room by Kate Murray Brown. So it's a bit of a ghost story about a family who move into a house, and there's something going on in the house, but it seems that only the woman can sort of sense it, and there's a lot about, you know, who do you believe, and listening to women. So I'm really intrigued by this one. And then I picked up a collection of stories by another eminent female writer who I have never read before, which is shameful, and that's Susan Sontag, this gorgeous new copy of stories. And I love this because it's got like quite a old feely cover. It feels like a Virago cover of old or something like that. So yes, it's a Hamish Hamilton book, edited by Benjamin Taylor, and it's a collection of her stories, so I'm excited to dig into this shiny. Then a book that was actually sent to me by a lovely new friend that I feel like I'm making is Bee over at Viva Tramp on Twitter, and her blog is really cool, and she's another sort of bookish blogger, and she's absolutely lovely. And I can't remember how because I'm so fuzzy right now, but we were talking about a book that somebody else had a copy of that I've been quite intrigued by, and she said she had a copy and she'd gladly send it to me, and that is The Lucky Ones by Julianne Pacheco. So The Lucky Ones by Julianne Pacheco is a collection of stories, short stories, that Bea wasn't 100% sold on, I think is fair to say, but I've just been really intrigued by it, so I'm going to give it a go. And she sent me a lovely postcard. I like abstracty things like this, and it's got a lovely feel to it. So thank you very much, Bea. Then the lovely guys over at Serpent's Tail got an email from me, or to be fair, they got a halo emoji from me on Twitter, and let's face it, it's mainly Simon Savage's fault, because there's 2 books that he was sent by Serpent's Tail that I was like, oh, I'd really like, and then so I did the halo emoji, and then Serpent's Tail were lovely and offered me a couple of others. So the first of those is Her Body and Other Parties, stories by Carmen Maria Machado, which I think is out in America, but not here yet. January 2018, there we go. I wonder if this is my first 2018 book that I've got. Probably not. I'm really bad at keeping track of this kind of thing. But yeah, so this is a collection of short stories that are meant to be sort of quite dark and sinister, feminist, female-powered, female-centric, so I'm very, very excited to give this one a go. I am feeling that actually December may be a bit short fiction-y, just because work is going to be so insane that I'm not sure I'm going to be able to concentrate on a full book, so we'll see what happens there. But thank you very much to Serpent's Tail for that one, and also thank you very much to Serpent's Tail for The Word for Woman is Wilderness by Albee Andrews. Again, saw this over on Simon Savage's channel, seen this on Twitter and everything, and a lot of people talking about this one, and it looks absolutely amazing. Very, very excited about this one. So this one I think is another 2018 one, isn't it? Ooh! So I've just seen it's got like cool little doodles in there as well. Can't show you, there we go. February 2018, there we go. And just having clicked through even more, and I want to read it even more, and I'm very tempted to go away and read it right now. Sorry, thank you, bye. So when I'd done the Halo emoji about those, another couple that I asked for was Jami Attenberg's All Grown Up. I'd seen about this when it came out in hardback and was hearing such good stuff about it, and I just never got around to buying myself a copy or being cheeky and asking for one, so I thought I'd be cheeky and ask for one now, and thank you very much, Serpent's Tail. So this is about an ex-artist living in New York, trying to navigate sort of sex, family, friendship, and work, and it just feels like another modern, female-centric novel that I'm very excited to read. So All Grown Up by Jami Attenberg. And then the last one that the lovely guys at Serpent's Tail sent me is The Accusation by Bandy. I'm sure you guys will have seen about this one already because it has been out for a little while now. I'm assuming it must be coming out in paperback at some point in the new year, but this is a collection of stories from North Korea. They have been smuggled out of North Korea by a North Korean writer who's obviously just writing under the name Bandy for protection. So they sound like they're very important stories, and so important that they have been smuggled out of North Korea and that we have them. So again, this is probably another one that I might read over December. Okay, now we move on to non-fiction. I'm going to try and race through these as much as I can. Never Use Futura by Douglas Thomas, or Futura, what did I say? Essentially, it's a book about the ubiquity of the font Futura. Never use Futura unless you are any of these brands or any of these brands, and I just love this kind of book that looks at the history of a font and the way it is used, and yeah, so this is just me geeking out on that. Speaking of me geeking out on things I like, you know I love brutalism, so I picked up this lovely little mini Faden book on concrete. Book on concrete structures and brutalism, and it's just a mini Faden little, and looks like a slab of concrete and I love it. Then a book that I actually had to buy 2 copies of this month because I bought one for myself and then my mum needed a Christmas present for her boss. No, a birthday present for her boss, so pinched my copy, so I had to buy another one. And that is Silence in the Age of Noise by Erling Kagge. So it's a Norwegian writer who spent 50 days walking solo across Antarctica, his radio broken. So a book about that, and it's just a gorgeous little gifty book as well. I may do like a little, I don't know, I might do a gifty guide thing, I don't know. Basically, this one looks really lovely and I'm going to spend an afternoon with it when I'm feeling better. Then a book that everybody should be excited about and everybody should go and get a copy of, and that is Mary Beard's Women and Power and Manifesto. Mary Beard, of course, a classicist, so knows an awful lot about women and power over the years, and has had her own brushes with what it's like to be a woman of any kind of profession who puts her head above the parapet, dares to have an opinion, and gets shot down on Twitter, like she did on Question Time, and the abuse she suffered. So it's a book about women and power, and you should all go and read it, because I've heard such good things about it. I haven't started my copy yet, but yes. Then I bought a copy of Carl Ove Nausgaard's Winter, the second in his Seasons Quartet. Copying Ali Smith? Oh dear. Yep, so that's the second in his Seasons Quartet. I have now read the first one in that, which I don't think I talked about in my last wrap-up. No, that'll be in the next one. Then another one about gutsy women that I have been meaning to buy since I've seen it came out, and a customer came into the shop and bought it, and I went downstairs and bought it that same day. That is 100 Nasty Women of History by Hannah Jewell, and this is published by Hodder and Stoughton, and it is another book about nasty women of history, reclaiming that term that was sort of used to paint Hillary Clinton as a nasty woman, reclaiming nasty women, and yeah, about forgotten women, important women through history that have been overlooked, and it's a gorgeous, gorgeous thing as well. And yeah, so you've got little biographies about women through history that we need to know about. Then I bought a copy of a book written by the guys who run one of my favourite podcasts of all time, the guys who run No Such Thing as a Fish. I absolutely love that podcast, I have done for years, and I was so pleased when they were bringing out the book of the year, The Weirder Side of 2017. So it's about 2017, and it's sort of some of the weirder facts that you may or may not have heard throughout the year. I did not realise the TV show Loose Women was cancelled on International Women's Day. Yeah, I'm really excited about this because I absolutely love the No Such Thing as a Fish. I will never give up on hashtag Get Anna on Twitter. Never. I know she doesn't want to, but never. Then a book came into store that I'd been seeing about, and again thought, okay, I'm going to give it a go, and that is Goodbye Europe, Writers and Artists Say Farewell. So you've got this many writers and artists and people writing essays, personal letters, original fiction, and a few surprises from treasured writers and artists about Brexit, and I was just quite intrigued by this one. So yeah, that's a thing that I bought. Then one that I was immediately very excited about when I heard it sort of exploded on Twitter that it was happening in America, and people were sort of unsure if it was going to be happening in the UK, and then all of a sudden it was, and it just seemed to, I don't know if it was just me, but it seemed to come out of nowhere, and that is Professor Emily Wilson's translation of the Odyssey by Homer. So this is the first English language translation of Homer translated by a woman. All I have heard about this is positive stuff. It's meant to be just incredibly wrought and beautifully done. And I've never read the Odyssey in full. I've read bits of it. Hello again, cat. I've read bits of it over the years, so I am very, very excited to get stuck into this. You will have probably seen bits of this on Twitter. Most likely the very first stanza of it you will have seen on Twitter. So yeah, I'm just really excited to spend some time with this, and it is a gorgeous thing as well. You can see the foiling there, and it's got this, it looks like old parchment, but it's lovely. And I finally caved and bought myself a copy of Nigel Slater's The Christmas Chronicles. I'm not really a food writer lover. I'm not really, like, foodie writing, and cookery books don't normally sort of do it for me. But like, Alice Slater has been raving about this one. Lots of people have been saying how amazing it is and how it writes about winter, not just the cookery bits. And I read, I think it was a snippet of, it was just a picture of something he'd written about food that was on the Guardian website, I think, and I was like, okay, if that's how he writes about food, I'm on board. So I've picked up a copy of this. I went to start it the other day and then just felt so miserable that I didn't. So I'm going to curl up with this one soon. Blue Planet 2. Do I need to say much about this one? No. Are you watching it? If you aren't, you're an idiot. May I just say. God love David Attenberg, and we set him up as a UNESCO World Heritage Site and put all the protection into him, thank you, please. As I expected, I'm back with a couple more for my November haul. Ooh, steady, don't know what's going on. So, a couple more for my November haul. The first one I'm going to struggle to get in here. It's The Lost Words by Robert Macfarlane and Jackie Morris. You will have probably seen this in bookshops, doing the rounds on a lot of people's kind of best books of 2017. Can't talk. Best books of 2017. It's a gorgeous thing. I'm going to see if I can show you any of it. Just look at these illustrations. So it's sort of billed as a spell book, and it's just about language with these gorgeous illustrations. Robert Macfarlane, of course, is an eminent nature writer, and Jackie Morris's illustrations are just gorgeous. A couple of people that I work with, it has just jumped up their sort of best of 2017 books. So this is gonna be one that I probably spend some time with during Winter Cozy Reading Night, whenever that happens. So this is one I'm very excited to read. And then the last one that I got myself in November is a book that was sort of prompted by Sophie over at Portal in the Pages. On her Instagram, I think a little while ago, she was talking about Joan Didion, and I have never read any Joan Didion, and as this seems to be the month where I've bought books by female writers that I should have, in inverted commas, read, I thought I would go for some Joan Didion, but I was torn as to what book to go for. Then I discovered that Everyman, they of the gorgeous hardback editions, did a collected book of Joan Didion. So it doesn't include her two most recent books, I want to say, but it's all of her sort of previous non-fiction and all of the books that basically I was torn between what to go for. The only problem was it seemed to only be published in America and wasn't necessarily easy to get hold of. So I placed an order and wasn't expecting it to come this year, and then in work yesterday I just popped in and it arrived. So Joan Didion's We Tell Ourselves Stories in Order to Live collected non-fiction. So as I say, this is one of the Everyman's library books, which is quite dangerous because I now might end up, I've thus far in my life resisted buying Everyman editions, but that may not last much longer. So this book includes Slouching Towards Bethlehem, The White Album, Salvador, Miami, After Henry, Political Fictions, Where I Was From. So I've just checked, and it's her most recent 3 books that aren't included in this. The Year of Magical Thinking, which was 2005, Blue Nights, which was 2011, and South and West from a Notebook, which was just this year. So yeah, I'm excited with this one. Again, it's a chunky non-fiction, it's collected non-fiction, it's not going to be one that I read in one go. It is going to be one that I sort of pick up every now and again, and every time I pick it up, I'm going to be tempted to go down the Everyman rabbit hole. So that's my November haul. This is another video that I've pre-recorded to go up on the first weekend of Vlogmas, which I kind of feel bad about, but at the same time I know that work before that weekend would have been crazy busy, so I know that I needed to do this. I needed to do this, guys. Vlogmas will begin proper on the 4th, so that will be sort of ones that I do on the day. This will be fun. So, what books have you bought in November? Have you bought any the same as me? Have you bought many that are different from me? I imagine so. Talk to me about what you've bought in November, and let's have a little chat about any of the books that I've bought. Again, as usual, if you've read them and loved them, fine. Talk to me if you read them and you didn't. Stumm keep you must. Yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you next time. Bye.